Hey y'all, so it's behind the scenes. We have, well, I'm not looking at that clock. I'm supposed to look at digital. It is 3 minutes until 10 when the show goes live on WHIV 102.3 FM and where you're at. Got a new thing on this Facebook Live. It looks different every time I click on it. And I think y'all can do stuff on this one. Anyway. Chandler, what's up, man? To call you later. Didn't go so good with Pops. I think we did a mutual I love you, but yeah, it's kind of c'est la vie. C'est la vie. You gotta do what's good for the health. Yeah. So hey, TD. Oh, it's behind the scenes here right now. Hope you're doing good. So I behave myself on this whole COVID thing. Oh, I see I have, I'll talk about that when we go live. I mean, we are live, but the radio show. Got my doily. But I'm all alone here right now. Oh, this is the way. I mean, I waved and I said hi to you. All right. God, we gotta be getting close now. Yeah, we're close. We're close enough. Good enough for government work. All right, so I got that set up. I got this. I'm gonna put this on. All right. Didn't check out who that artist was playing there. But this is WHIV 102.3 FM and the great city of New Orleans. And we honor independent voices. And this is Monkey Mind with Rob. And this show is dedicated to brain cancer, everybody's favorite topic, and living in one's moment. And backstory, I'll try and do it quick for all you that suffered through this. Masif, what's up? And all my people that suffer through this again and again. But anyway, back in like 2004, 2005, or maybe even 2006, dates aren't that good for me. I got diagnosed with a GBM, which is a glioblastoma. It's brain cancer. It was in my right frontal lobe. And the prognosis at that time period was that you were going to live 6 months. And it was pretty accurate on the people that I did meet personally. I even had a parent, because my kids, one of the guys, he got a GBM too, and he was pretty much right on the clock at 6 months. And hadn't thought about him in a while, but yeah, it was wild. It was like he had like a farewell party that he invited me to, and it was really kind of weird because I was pretty functional, and and he was clearly hitting his motor skills and his cognitive function pretty good, but he was still, you could still see he was pretty sharp. He was just very hey Shug, I see you. But yeah, he had a real cool spirit, and he had like a local band come. And yeah, it was just weird because I was talking to him, and you could clearly see he was about to, he was going to die pretty soon. That's why he was having this party. And he was trying to, do like a good Irish wake kind of vibe thing. But it wasn't Irish, it was more like rock and roll. Kind of like an old punk band from back in the day, I think, or that came and played at his thing. Anyway, so I got diagnosed with that and got like 6 months to live. Way back when. I am a rare Survivor being this long. It's like 15 years, I think, roughly. And haven't found too many, but I just recently got on this Facebook. It's like, I don't know what it's called. I always forget what it's called, but I could share that if you reach out to me. Hey, Red, I see you. I'll wave to Red from a virtual distance. I can't do it. Forget it. I'll wave to you like that. What was I talking about? So I had a lot of, and I still do, but I adapt with it pretty well. And most people, I don't think, they just probably think I'm spacey or something like that. They don't really think I have some kind of real cognitive issue. My mom especially. She would never say it. Anyway, so I don't know where this show's going today. I've been having a lot of monkey chatter for myself, and the other part of the show is called Monkey Mind. And what I really synced up with me, I'm not sure how true this is, with me getting brain cancer is prior to getting diagnosed, I had a lot of negative speak in my head. I was constantly, I was very disappointed in myself, and I was, letting, my monkey mind, my ego was really letting me have it. It was telling me how stupid I was, how dumb with the things, how I wasn't, being, courageous and going for stuff, and that I just kind of copped out. And, then it just started really snowballing, where the stress started building up, had a lot of, and that's how I initially found out I had brain cancer, is I was trying to get on antidepressants because I was a sad monkey. Oh, and I got my new, y'all can see it online. I got one of the monkey, well, we're trying to stay sanitary at the radio station. So we're putting like, socks, clean socks, gotta be clean, over our, hopefully, over our microphone here to kind of help block the spread of germs. And so mine is one of those like classic kind of sock puppets. I was going to try and score an actual puppet and then impale it anally on my mic, but I figured they didn't really make them like that. And maybe that would have been mean. So I just ordered a sock. So I got it now. And it's awesome. My little monkey. Yeah, so I associated so much with and the monkey, going to the monkey mind story. Sorry, I'm jumping around, but that's how I operate. But the monkey mind is a Buddhist term. It's about the chatter in the head that's always talking, always doing something. So it's like a constant, voice in your head that always wants to do something. That's why you can never it's such a challenge to make kind of peace with the moment, quiet your mind, and meditation on stuff. And this Buddhist monk that I saw, this was like years ago, and you can probably still find it on YouTube if you look it up. And I was describing him as like this little kid for a while, or this kid for a while, and he's not. He's a totally grown man. And I was like, man, that was weird how you categorize someone in your memory. But anyways, I guess it was so sweet. He exuded such kind of like this sweet thing that it was almost kind of childlike. So I think that's maybe why I did that. Anyway, the moral of the story is the Buddhist monk was being very open and honest with the the viewer on his his video, and he was saying, it's a challenge, and what I do is your monkey just wants something to do. The monkey doesn't care. It's like basically your ego, your thinker. It doesn't care what it is, just as long as it's something. It can be painful for you, like bad thoughts, anything that occupies that attention and gets attention, kind of like a bad kid in school or something like that. He's really kind of reaching out probably for a hug. So hug your monkey. Anyway, so what this Buddhist monk would do, he would ask himself, am I breathing? Kind of quiet, to himself, he would ask that. And his monkey mind would go then be interested in that and go, oh, okay, am I breathing? And then the monkey would be quiet and he's listening to the breath. And then he gets his moment of peace, his awareness, So I could go back into describing kind of. So anyway, so you get it. So it quiets the monkey for a second, and then he gets his moment of meditation, which is all meditation is. It's very much just in our moment, being of our moment, and it's a constant. What I practice now, and I say practice because I'm gonna say mess up a lot. I don't do all the things that I kind of, but I don't know, man. I think it's such a blessing to mess up, you know? It's so, and it's such an interesting thing is that we don't really celebrate that enough. And I think that's a real fault. I wasn't really articulating that to myself, but yeah, I think it's such a thing to celebrate what we categorize as our just mess up. And look at how we watch. Everybody loves watching the videos of people, like, what is it, like bloopers, and yeah, I mean, like, those are some of the best. They're typically better than the movie when they show like the bloopers of it, like the realness of somebody, you know, exposing themselves, and it's just kind of a beautiful thing. Yeah, so that's kind of, and then I really noticed like the duality of cancer and the monkey mind is that they're both basically, I can kind of categorize them as parasites, kind of natural parasites. You know, one of the cognitive and the other one of the physical, and both, I think you don't want to fight things, because my Reiki taught me that fighting begets fighting. Reiki's is kind of a cool thing if you're not familiar with it. It was just so special to me because I met this really great yoga teacher, and then she offered to Cecilia, big kiss, babe. She offered then to do Reiki on me, and it was just so nice because it's just like somebody focusing on you, and it's just being positive, and it just felt all lovey-dovey, and when you're in, you know, if you've gone through like the hospital system or an illness like that, it's just so nice to have someone giving attention to you that's loving and positive, regardless of, like, I when I first started doing it, I wasn't, I mean, I guess I was kind of going, I don't know about, you know, about this, the reality of this stuff, but I mean, it's so much of just positivity. I mean, it's just such a beautiful thing, and that's its own reward right there. So I was like, yeah, let's do that. And then I wanted more of it. Yeah, it's just so nice to have people that kind of flow with you. And there's a great thing that I learned, that I was taught, basically like 3 things on a situation that if you want to, something it's not positive, or it's kind of a negative towards you, it's unhealthy, let's say, you either need to change it, and if you can't change it, then you need to get away from it, and if you can't get away from it, you kind of got to surrender to it and make peace with it. And you can always just, you know, start it back, you know, but try and, you know, start it back in a positive thing, like in that more of that peace mode. I had a marriage counselor that it was really big into, his niche was friendly strong, where you just, you know, you focus more on your strength, your positivity. Yeah, like you can, and it's just like with, you know, being in your moment and doing the right thing. It's like you don't have to do things with hate in mind or anger. You can do all kind of crazy stuff. You could shoot somebody because you're doing the right thing. You're protecting somebody, and it's to that level. Or you could beat somebody up because it's at that level. You're trying to stop something from occurring, and it's warrant. It would have to, of course, warrant that type of action on your part. But there are certain circumstances where that could be the case. But I mean, it's also, you don't have to do it like, you know, you bastard, you know, like you're like foaming at the mouth at somebody either. You should try and really kind of make, you know, peace with that. And I'm really into pretty much practicing. I don't hate anybody, and there are a lot of people that I just feel that are just unhealthy, and I see some of the actions that they've done, and I don't want to be around it, and I don't agree with it. And past a certain point, you know, people are adults or even children for that matter. I really don't like telling even my kids that much what to do. It's like you want to set an example of being positive, and how do most of us learn? We learn by making mistakes. I mean, who learns by doing stuff right? I mean, I don't know. I think, and that goes back to that what I was saying earlier. The what is it? The bloopers. Yeah, celebrating your mistakes and really trying to find more peace in the moment. And I think that's been such a big thing with my health. I had someone online, one of the cancer. She had posed a question. I think it was a she. She had posed a question where it was like, did anybody else, their doctor, like I guess was prescribing like the death sentence I was kind of telling you about, where they were kind of saying you have about 6 months. That's back in like 2005. If you got a GBM, you had about 6 months to live. Nowadays, I think it's about like a year. And they're doing a lot of the same treatments. They have a few on here that I don't really know. And I kind of practice an ignorance is bliss kind of thing. Like I'm not really making that I had cancer that much. I say that like I got a radio show on it. I was about to say, yeah, I'm not really making it that much of my life. Like on a momentary, I'm not like fixed on it all the time or worried about it. Like I got introduced to a few people online that they really had that fear, and you can see people kind of getting that stuff with this whole COVID-19 thing, and where people, you get really afraid, and I think it's so much about, death is such a natural part of life. And really, I think I had one of my shticks long ago. I was like thinking it's the point of life is almost making peace with your moment, and then being able to pass on to that other side of what the body fluffs away, the monkey mind goes with it pretty much. So it's kind of like a duality for your mind function. You have your thinker, your ego, which pretty much you think of as you. All your hobbies, all that kind of stuff. And then you have a consciousness inside you that can actually sit there and listen to your monkey. And a lot of us tend to, like, and myself included, tend to judge that thinker and say, that's so stupid that you did. Well, that was so dumb what you just did. Why did you do? Or you get so embarrassed about something, or it's it's a trippy thing. It just reminded me of something that happened over the weekend. I was out going for a walk, and I walked by my neighbor's house, and then I got into a conversation with my neighbor's daughter, who's really, really a smart, very opinionated, strong young woman, and but it's like lessons everywhere. And so we almost got into this debate. I think I said something about that facts were really kind of a almost like a fantasy, like, or they were nothing without us. And it was almost kind of a stupid, ignorant statement. Just like, well, if there are no humans, you have no fact, or something. I don't know. It almost negates itself. So why bother? But anyway, it was a good, because I definitely felt a little flustered, because actually I was kind of talking to somebody else, and then she kind of chimed in, which was cool. But then I definitely felt a little like, because this young person was really, going after me, like, I believe in facts. I was like, I don't know. It's like facts. Like, so much of what they tell us is a game of telephone. I mean, I really more and more getting educated to that. It's somebody else's agenda, and a lot of people don't even know that they're spinning agendas. They're blind to it, just like they're blind that they're really their monkey mind is riding the show, because they're identifying with their monkey mind. I don't know if I finished the duality part of that, but basically it's like that you can sit back and listen to your thoughts. That consciousness or that awareness is more of what I deem to be our truer kind of core kind of essence. And I'm kind of kind of thinking that that's where we kind of drift off into after death. But it's a very un-ego-y thing. Anyway, what that came back to with the, I wanted to go back to, because I got kind of flustered and I felt my ego, my monkey mind, definitely get involved with that conversation I was just telling you about there being no facts. Which was kind of I'm always kind of doing, my monkey kind of likes that kind of stuff. But then I read this really cool thing, which I've never been a fan of, but of Charlie Chaplin. I was always more into Buster Keaton. I just really didn't get into the whole Little Tramp. I never really found that to be all that cute. And I did like film studies and stuff like that in school, and we did all the, not all of them, but we did a lot of the Charlie Chaplin stuff. And but he was more of a, he was kind of a rogue for most of his, and that's what, and I think I remember this one story where I think when he was older, because he was, rich as all, good looking guy, and I think he was pretty studly, but he got Tesla was really in love with this girl, and they were all kind of contemporaries. Albert Einstein was in that too, and Charlie nabbed and married, I think, Tesla's fiance. And I don't think Tesla ever got over that one. But c'est la vie, c'est la vie. But anyway, go back to, so when he was 70, he wrote like basically what was like a prose poem. I mean, it wasn't really a poem, but it was very, kind of had some, how it was kind of outlined. It looked kind of like a poem. Anyway, one of his lines was that at his age, he'd finally kind of made peace with not being right all the time, like that need to be right. And that is something that the monkey loves to be the victim because it makes it right. Somebody else was wrong, it's right. The monkey likes anything that kind of pumps it up and being right. And a really good practice on listening to others. And it just reminded me of something else, but then that kind of drifted. Oof, not going to get it. Anyway, I had another parable story that related directly to that, but that's gone. So a lot with my thing, with my cognitive thing, is like things drop out on me a lot. And they like, ooh, wow, that's really horrible. That never happens to me. Yeah, it's really common. It maybe just happens more frequently than it used to with me. And when I, years ago, was coming off the brain surgeries and the radiation and chemotherapies that I did, I had a lot of motor skill were really messed up for a while, and my cognitive, I just couldn't stay on point. I couldn't walk from one room to the next and remember what was my motivation, and I'd have to go, typically walk back and then reboot. But it's so much about what I was mentioning earlier, is like staying in your moment, going back to what is now, because you're not doing anything in the future. You're just not. And I run into that is my biggest, I guess, hang up on a practice is going into the future, like what's gonna happen, this is gonna, and then trying to prep for it. Like you're burning up your moment on stuff that just doesn't exist, on all these what if, or even then just resenting the past. Well, that person did this to me back then, and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it also, some of it you have to kind of jump out and jump back in. That's why, it's like you practice it. And you don't be hard on yourself, or don't be hard on your monkey. Your monkey's just going to be a monkey. And most of these people that are annoying the heck out of us, it's just basically them, they're just ignorant to that. They can't help it. I mean, they're totally just riding that monkey. That monkey just wants to throw feces around and scream and yell and just act all crazy, And you gotta love your monkey too. It's like, don't be judging it. It's so much of just like saying, oh, it's so, just your monkey can't help it either. It can't. Now my Reiki, I think, I mention this, I keep mentioning this each time because I think she tries to ask her monkey just to kind of behave or something like that. And I've been doing that too, actually. I think I have this same epiphany every time I do this show and talk about that part. But it's like, yeah, lately, because I've been going through some family stuff I'll talk about in a few, but yeah, I just been like lying in bed or something. I live alone, so it's like, you got to call somebody to rant and rave. And then sometimes that gets a little, it's like, I don't want to be on this freaking phone, Yeah, these phones are crazy. I don't know, I guess I kind of drifted off and then I got all relaxed. I was like, Anyway, hope y'all are doing good out there. And, yeah. But yeah, focusing on being right. Really check yourself on that. It's a good practice. And what I said a few episodes ago, a great way to really practice your peace is driving around. I mean, if you notice yourself, I'm guilty. Like most of the stuff that if you think I'm calling you out, it's just mainly just stuff that I am completely have done or do. Like driving around, like yelling at people or thinking, that person driving so stupid. Why are they doing that? And yeah, it's a good way to practice, making peace with people and being friendly, and trying to find the peace in your moment. It always goes right back to that, noticing your moment. Asking yourself, am I breathing? I know, sounds silly, but that's what it's all about. So much goes back to that. Yeah, so back to some more good cancer talk. So like 7-8 months ago, I got another MRI. So since 14 years back, I've been getting MRIs. Like after I did my last chemotherapy, which I think I gotta rave is maybe what saved me because it was unusual, and I'm not sure how true this is. I had somebody that I think I'm kind of broken up with. I think it was a mutual breakup. My dad. It was kind of awkward, but yeah, he had told me, which I can't always believe what he says because he kind of fudges stuff sometimes. His monkey fudges stuff. He can't help it. But he told me that I was the only one to have completed Avastin CPT-11. This is a chemotherapy medication, like a, what do you call it, an IV. They kind of shoot you up in the arm, and then they get these bags they bring out. They put you on some good daytime TV, get you under some good fluorescent lights, and man, they just start pumping it for hours and hours. This yellow, I used to like, every time I would go into that room, I would just cringe looking at that bag. It just looks so, just like that unattractive kind of yellow, almost like a urine kind of yellow, like a dirty urine, not like the beautiful clean. But yeah, so anyway, he said that I was the only person to make it through that, which I could definitely believe at that hospital, or at least for the room that I was in, because you're in a room with a bunch of other people that are getting either that medication or something else or some other chemo. That's where everybody would kind of congregate. So there were maybe 10 people. This was over at across on the West Bank, the best bank, which I grew up here, always making fun of. But anyway, that was my ego, my monkey. Yeah, it was just really, it was rough, man. But my Reiki now always reminds me to really kind of praise my chemo, like to really give it some props. I mean, it kind of makes sense too, because you're doing it anyway. You may as not be telling your. I'm fine. I catch myself doing that all the time. It's like, man, I feel kind of sad. Like I'll say it's almost like, it's almost as silly as that. Like you're almost telling yourself how you feel, like a negative, and pretty funny. And this is catching yourself. It's just noticing. Noticing your monkey, noticing your thinker, especially noticing when it's unhealthy, when it's preaching to you. Because I was kind of suspicious that I got my immune system so low. This is way back before I got diagnosed, that it was basically caused me to get brain cancer. Anyway, but back to, I think I was talking about now. So anyway, I've been doing MRIs for, let's say, 15 years. Very unusual to have a GBM go that long. But like 7-8 months ago, it showed a suspect area that wasn't so much in the previous ones, but I get kind of confused on that. But anyway, it was like a suspect area over my brainstem. And the brain, and it may have been my cerebellum too, but it looked like it was more brainstem. And the brainstem is apparently an area that they don't ideally like biopsying or going in for surgery, just because it's very, it's a lot more sensitive. Like my other place was the right frontal lobe, and apparently you can like go in there with an ice cream scooper, and it's pretty good. So I have like a space that's filled up with fluid now in my right frontal lobe. Like when I see the MRI, so it's like this black. That's how it shows up, like the negative, I guess, the juicy space. And then all around it, there's this wispy white stuff that shows up, and that can be the false positive for either scar tissue or actually brain cancer, because that's how it looks. It looks like that white wispy kind of thing, which is kind of how they relate to it, why they call it cancer, because of the zodiacal crab with the legs. It kind of has like a center point typically, and then it spreads out. Anyway, so with that, I did a few different doctors. My pop came in, and he wanted me to go kind of back more to the other doctor. I had just switched over just to save some money to a HMO, but that doctor wasn't in it. So so I kind of had two doctors. And one of them turned out to be a surgeon, and then the other one was more of an oncologist. And the oncologist is what really doles out the drugs when you got cancer. And where's I going with that? Anyway, so my oncologist, rightly so, because he deals drugs. He put me back on temozolomide, which is like a very stock, and I did that way back when I went over from New Orleans to Houston to go to MD Anderson. That's what they put me on too. I went there for a second opinion and then just stayed, and I completed radiation there. Anyway, so now I've been on temozolomide, which isn't too fun, but it's a blessing. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I gotta praise my chemo. Thank you, temozolomide. Thank you. But now I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for my moment. I really am. Practice. So, where was I going with that? Yeah, so I'm on that, and I think he said he wanted me on it for a year at least. And I think I'm hearing people now. Back in the day, you didn't do that. Like back when I first did temozolomide, and I think they really jacked up the dosage too. But I'm not 100% of that. Like most of the stuff, I pay attention to it prior to doing it, and then it's like I boot it out of my brain. I was like, all right, I don't need that anymore. I was like, you're out. And anyway, so that's what I've been on now. So now I've been doing chemo now for 7-8 months. Or maybe I'm making that up. Maybe it's 5 or 6 months now. Because I think he wants to take a 3-month roughly break on my MRIs and then just maintain and then he's going to see what it looks like. And I think the thought would be is to see any kind of variations in the MRI. He's claimed that he saw a slight reduction. The theory is that there are reductions in like a brain surgeon sees a reduction differently than what an oncologist calls an induction, a reduction in the size of a tumor. So that's kind of the jam on that. So my dad is not big into but like I said, we just broke up. It's kind of awkward. But he was big on, he really liked my oncologist, which I do too. He's cool. But I think my surgeon is just he's just like this really, this may sound condescending, but he's smart as hell. But he's just like this, he's more of a petite guy, kind of a little pudgy, black guy, super, super brilliant, always wears a bow tie, But I don't know, he just exudes kind of like a something that's just really kind of positive. And he's always kind of laughing kind of at me because of the crap, the stuff I say. And so he's kind of almost kind of in a sweet way condescending to me, but I like it. It's one of those. But yeah, so he was kind of saying he wasn't really seeing the change. So then I jumped on that. I was like, ooh, so maybe it's scar tissue. He's like, I don't think so. He's still kind of hanging on to that it's a 1 or a 2. So at least it's not a 4. But of course, you don't typically go straight to a 4. Not that I'm preaching that to myself. I'm not preaching that. All right, I'm just explaining it to y'all. But anyway, maybe I'll try and get off this topic and talk about something else. Ooh, that's a great. I forgot last time. I'll read an announcement for our radio station. Did you know that 102.3 FM WHIV LP New Orleans has been broadcasting for the past 5 years? We are able to honor independent community voices with your support. T-shirts, hoodies, white fanny packs, and more make for great gifts, or treat yourself. So this stuff is all like, merch online. Simply go to WHIVFM.org and click store. That's WHIVFM.org. Thanks, y'all. We are not a radio station with a mission. We are a mission with a radio station. End all wars. Man, I think I am really funky. I don't know how y'all are, but I really don't like joining like groups too much. I kind of like being on like the peripheral. I kind of like going to the groups and then just doing whatever the heck I want to do. Like I'll just wander off. Like I went canoeing with these kayakers. It was a kayak group, and we went into these swamps of what swamp was that? It was like Pearl River Management. I think it was Honey Island Swamp. And man, that is a real big, real swamp. And we started going back in there. And I think with the tissue that I had removed from my right frontal, I think it's supposed to make me a lot more impulsive. Where if I feel like, God, I really want to do something, I almost can't stop myself from doing it. Or I can, but it's like, I gotta double down on it. Anyway, so I'm with these kayakers. I'm in a canoe. So right there, I'm just like the oddball. But it was kind of fun to go. I do like, just being alone all the time. It kind of isn't that much fun for me. But I'll work on it. Anyway, so then I left the group out in the middle of a swamp. They had a vote that they didn't want to go anymore. I kept wanting to go further, kind of into the swamp, but kind of making a loop to get back to where our parking lot was. And I did have I wouldn't have done this. I did have my phone, like I was on Google Maps, so I was actually I was pinging my location and I was pinging the garage. But that being said, we were in a swamp, thick as all. I had to get out of the canoe a few times and drag my canoe in the swamp. Nobody else really wanted to do that because it looked pretty creepy. It's the summertime. You got, it's snakes, I guess alligators, all kind of good stuff. Spiders, It was teeming. It was very cliche. Just what you would imagine a crazy swamp to look like. That's what this place looked like. Really difficult to paddle anything in because there were so many cypress knees and fallen logs. Anyway, so the group has a vote. They decide to leave, and then kind of the head of their group, the leader of their group, is like saying, "Rob, this is a really bad idea. You going off, by yourself." And I was like, "Nah, I hear you. I wouldn't do that. Well, then come with me." I think I said to him, and he's like, "No, I don't want to." And so anyway, so they just left, and then I kept going. And then for the first time, I tipped that canoe after about 30, 40 minutes into that swamp, and I came up water, and my phone was, I think, in a drink at that point. Was not prepared. I had never flipped this canoe before. I didn't even know I really could, because just prior to that, in that same swamp, I was standing on it like a pirogue, like a gondola, and just kind of pushing off on stuff, and I was totally fine. But I think I was just on it kind of weird, and I was shoving off on trees with my paddle because you had to kind of force yourself to get through it, and it just dumped me over. and I ended up in like chest high water. And I remember staring at this tree, and then I look over and I see my canoe where it's upside down, and then it just starts sinking. It kind of flipped over to its side and just starts bubbling down. I'm like, man, oh man. I was like, what am I gonna do? I was like, all right, you wanted some adventure, you got it. Anyway, I made it. Clearly I made it. But yeah, it was a trip, a real trip. But yeah, it's just like little quirks, and we all go through that. And as we're gonna age, our minds and stuff, you know, things are gonna change, and we're gonna have to kind of make peace with our bodies changing, our minds changing, and it's so much of a good practice for us all, just to be easier on ourselves, loving of ourselves, loving of others, less judgmental. But that being said, some people are not going to be a healthy thing for you to be around. And that goes back to that three things. If you're in something, you try and ideally tell the person, and ideally you try and get your monkey out of the equation, because that's kind of hard. I mean, it's definitely going to get the other monkey active too, and you're going to have, you know, your monkey's going to be throwing feces, and their monkey's going to start throwing that. I always like that analogy, because going to the zoo, you can see like the orangutans or something like that. They're just always doing something kind of funky, or just laying there, kind of whatever. But anyway, yeah, like just noticing that on people, because some people in your thing, you can't do it. You can't really argue your way to somebody's. I mean, maybe somebody has. I don't know, but yeah, you shouldn't definitely think that is your thing. Well, you can try, definitely try, but then notice, and then also notice repetition. Are you doing this year after year? Is it not really getting better? This is an unhealthy thing, and a lot of times, what most people associate as like a love relationship is really just two monkeys coming together and sharing their love of being them right and others wrong, and that just feed that off. There's always somebody out there that's like the negative that they're always talking about. So and so did this, or so and so did that, and that's how they kind of fester and feed off each other. And yeah, love has no opposite. Love is just love. Love is not hate or you know cruelty to others. It's just not. This is love, baby. But I mean, we all gotta practice that, and our monkeys. Most of us, it's monkey love. But I mean, you can kind of love your monkey. You just got to be kind of aware that monkey's a little, and the monkeys are fun, man. They're fun, but I mean, they bite. Yeah, I mean, I think you can kind of practice positive with your monkey more so. Well, and if your other partner is also cognitive of that. Like I had last week, I was doing shrooms back at my house, and I was just like, I just got hit with, man, what is my purpose? What am I doing? I was just noticing my daily thing, and it was just like I was like on a morphine drip at home or something. Where I'm like, and in the evening, I'm watching my shows or something. I was like, man, most of these shows really, I mean, they're not that good even really, I was like, man. And it's like, I don't know, I was really checking myself. And I was like, I'm there by myself. But then, technically when I get around other people sometimes, I get a little, like I said, I kind of like being in a group, but I really like doing my own thing. And, yeah, and they're just coming back. But it is fun to have someone to share with. And I tend to like sharing more with girls or women. But not all the case. I mean, I had some really strong, I guess, friends that were guys, best friends in like high school. I guess that was mainly high school. Because I had two high schools. I had Charleston, South Carolina, and then I had New Orleans. And I came to New Orleans as a kid, really young. I guess multiple times, because I think we lived in Hattiesburg. And then my parents got divorced. We moved back to Charleston, my mom and I, where she was from. And yeah, and then I started getting into a little trouble, started dabbling. All I wanted to do was surf there. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to school at all. I just wanted to get in that water. And it's like nowadays, man, I'm just really drawn where it's like canoeing, or like I live in the Bayou St. John right now, and I get like that impulse, man. I just want to go walk down and just look at the bayou. My dad used to his ego used to call it the ditch. Man. Anyway, so that was a tough thing that I just kind of went through. It was, and I just got on the term gaslighting, where people kind of start to try and convince you that you're crazy. So that has been very popular since I got, for certain people to try with me with my my brain injury, and like my yeah. Well, I don't, like I said, I don't want to go into too many details because people aren't here to really defend themselves, and their monkey would. I think the monkeys would. I've had some people in my life that thought I had changed because of this brain injury, and yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, change is duh. No, but I mean, you know what I mean. Like personality-wise, I don't really think that's the case, and I've healed so much. Like I said, like back in there, I definitely had people kind of taking care of me for a while. I really, and at the time, I guess it was cool because I had a business, so I could kind of mess up as much as I wanted to. The problem came in when I started pulling in other people, because then they would start to kind of, I don't know, you do tend to emulate if your boss is doing something, you're like, yeah, well, I want to do that too. That looks fun. And I was like, no, you can't do that. You can't. I am the only one that can do it. So anyway, I had to let go like so many people. So I wasn't a very good, I guess, owner management as an example. But God, I don't know why I brought that up. Totally lost it. Yeah, and it's just like making peace with like yourself. Like I'm drifting off on stuff. Like I could be like, well, Rob, this is your radio show. You need to remember your points more and what you're trying to get across. I'm like, whatever. Right? Whatever. We'll work it out, right? We'll work it out. Yeah, so I was doing gaslighting. I had to look it up because I wasn't really 100%. And then it kind of dawned on me, I think there was like an old Cary Grant black and white with, I think it was Ingrid Bergman, where it was like I think she was like really rich or something. And anyway, someone was trying to convince her that she was crazy. And so then just recently, I've had, okay, I'll just say some people in my life, since I won't name names, keep everybody things, telling me basically when we're disagreeing that they'd be getting, you could see their monkey was getting frazzled, lots of loud talking, hostility clearly being represented, the fangs are being shown over the phone. And then it would click into, well, I think I'm seeing some mental issues there. You're not all that there. And I forget what the term was, what it was used to me. But yeah, it was definitely something like, but I was just like, whatever. It's like, yeah, I kind of feel like this is a mirror talk. And so many times people will go after you. Their monkey is projecting their issues onto you. It's a wild thing to see. And I guess, well, dude, like I said, I'm no Dalai Lama here. Though I don't know if the Dalai Lama is really a Dalai Lama. I don't know. But your ego also wants you to think that enlightenment or making kind of peace with your now is near impossible because it doesn't want to give up the drama. It doesn't want to give up the victim. And everything is a blessing. Everything we should be grateful for. Everything is a lesson in our journey, in our narrative, in our story. It just doesn't seem like that at the time. And last week I was very butt sore. I was like, dun 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 dun, injustice is being done to me. And it's one person's hearsay after the other. And then I had people really rewriting history on me, like, well, no, this was actually the reality. I was like, no, that wasn't the reality at all. And it's so much of what a lot of monkeys' minds really want to rewrite history and rewrite the story to fit their being right. And I mean, it can be pretty wild when you see it. Like somebody, I haven't really told anybody that I think they're kind of crazy, but I'm thinking it when they're saying some of that kind of stuff. Because man, you can't. I don't know. It's nuts, huh? This human experience on this kind of stuff. But it's everything is just such a great lesson. It really is. And who knows where it's going to take us. And most of the time, we're sitting here projecting ourselves into the future, saying, well, I'm thinking this is going to happen. And I totally do that too. But it's like to really catch yourself and just say, hey, it's now. If you got to do some lists or something like that, make your list, get your thing going, and then hop back into that moment and make peace with that. But yeah, so that was a big, like I said, that was a big dramatic thing. And I think my pop and I in our last conversation were both like, well, hey, I love you no matter what, but got to do what we think is right. And it was basically like that. And it's just like kind of goodbye. But yeah, I mean, it goes back. I mean, nobody wants that kind of stuff. But it's like so much in family stuff. Woo, I mean, family and relationships. I guess relationships just in general. But it's definitely like sex, love relationships, and family stuff can really pile on a lot of ego stuff. And it's a delicate balance. Like one of the guys that I was like really reading and listening, we're not really reading, but listening to for the most part, because I had all his audio stuff. I didn't really read his books. And now I just read it like his quotes. But it's Eckhart Tolle. And he said something, he was like, you think you're so enlightened? And it's so true because on his like Facebook site, not all of them, but a lot of the people are always like, hey, am I enlightened? They're always asking like this question. And it tends to be a real ego thing. Like the ego likes the back door, like that other monkey likes to come in and say, I'm the enlightened monkey. And then rip on the other monkey, where it just became another dumb monkey. But that's okay. But anyway, so Eckhart was like, he was saying, you think you're so enlightened, go spend a week with your parents in their house. And yeah, that'll test it. Or how about a new like your parent has a new marriage? How about going and have that dynamic? And I mean every cliche about the whole, your stepmother, that kind of stuff. Is it like so many things are just, I don't know, it just seems so cliche, but man, it's just yeah, okay. Yeah. So that was like a real mindset. My head's been in that space because it was causing me to do a lot of stuff. So I had to like do a lot of figuring on stuff about what was going to happen and the dynamics of it, and still kind of dealing with it, but it's kind of made its way. But I'm feeling pretty good, and it's just like you want to surround yourself with things that are healthy. Like other people were asking me like what I did for my cancer. Like the major thing I think was probably that the Avastin CPT-11 chemo and completing that. And I think the reason people don't do it is because you get so sick on it. And they were going to take me off of it. I kind of lied and cheated to stay on it. So that was like the reason I always associated that I made it through. And that was what was unique, I think, about my, quote, medical protocol. That, and then I also really started trying to practice kind of what I'm preaching right now. And it's just become really just a part of my daily moment. So much being lesson, stay present, question mark, being, okay, I can't read all that stuff. Yeah. Being aware, conscious. My Reiki is chiming, hey Cecilia, I see you out there. I can read things, so I'm getting I have a phone in here that I'm videoing on Facebook. Anyway, yeah, so another thing I did was a lot of diet. I changed my diet up a lot, and I'm trying to eat things that are more fat-oriented, like healthy fats, and getting away from sugar and carbs and stuff, things that promote sugar in the body. because that's kind of a feeding factor. So I did that, and it's kind of how it relates also to making peace with the monkey. It's not fighting the monkey, not fighting cancer, asking both to either settle down or leave my body. And in the cancer case, I don't think the monkey's gonna go. I think I'm stuck with that monkey, but that's okay. It's okay, monkey. Purpose, right, being right. I'm going through my little notes here. Yeah, and I'm really starting. I'm gonna start next time. I'll make it a point to bring up all the conspiracy stuff. I've really been jumping on a bunch of that stuff, and I think it's pretty interesting. I think so much of our space has been like the telephone game of one thing being told to us after another, and most of it is very much of a power grab. And as you know, just it's a bunch of people in positions of power that identify their monkey minds, and that monkey mind is going to want to hold on to that power, and they will come up with any kind of cock and bull story to maintain it and to feed that monkey. So I'm gonna that went to sleep, didn't it? I'm gonna try and get my Monkey Mind song on here, and I am going later today in New Orleans to get a snowball, but it's gonna be like I have to call ahead, order my snowball. I think I have to wear a mask, drive up, and then get it. So I am very excited about this because this is also just a sweetheart of a person. It is Ashley Hansen's place on Chapatulas. But so that's why I'm gonna go do that right after this show, and then I'm gonna go to Camp Rojo and have a social distancing gathering, and do that. Been working on some songs lately, and I just figured out what I'm going to do with my guitar. I'm going to set it up as a open tune guitar. I want something really simple so that I can just strum on it. Shoot, I don't know if I'm finding this thing. Sorry, y'all. It's always one thing. But yeah, I mean, it's so much. I don't know what y'all are tripping on with this whole. Okay, this is it. But yeah. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. Alright. Boys and girls, I should get one of those things where it does like the little boom, boom, boom with the lyrics. You remember those as a kid? The little dot would dance. That'd be fun for the song. Hey, monkey. Yeah. So this is a song I wrote about my monkey mind. Love you when I feel you my monkey. Mean and cruel, but you're mine, oh mine, my little monkey. When I was a little boy, I had a life-size toy. It was a monkey. When I squeezed it, made a cute sound. Hey, monkey, yeah, I want you to love me. I wanna love you when I feel you my monkey. You're so mean and cruel, but you're mine, oh mine, my little monkey. This chimpanzee wearing a suit and fedora sits in a bar. He tells a joke to the bartender. Chimpanzee. A joke about two penguins. Hey, monkey, I want you to love me. Monkey, I wanna love you when I feel you my monkey. You're so mean and cruel, but you're mine, all mine, my little monkey. Sing along, boys and girls. Watch out, those goddamn monkeys bite, I tell you. Bite me.
Bite this.
I want you to bite me, monkey. I don't really care, you're not mine, all mine. You with me all the time. Hey, monkey. Feel you, but we ain't one. Red Priest on guitar.
There we go.
Can't help I love that monkey, that monkey, that monkey, that monkey mine. Can't help I love that monkey, that monkey, that monkey mine. Monkey. All right, boys and girls, love me. Little monkey. Love you guys. Y'all take care of yourselves.